In 2019, Margie and Beth, the wife and daughter of Bill Morris, enrolled in Dementia 360, a support program for family caregivers of people living with dementia. For 2.5 years, I worked with them, providing coaching, resources, connections, and ongoing support to help them cope with their roles as caregivers and with the effects of Bill's illness.
You know, my dad gave great hugs. That's the first thing. And my dad was just a really nice guy. And he loved all of us. He loved our family.
He was 2 years older than me, and we really became friends when I started going to high school, and he walked to high school with me. We walked to high school together, and that's when we started talking and getting acquainted and doing things.
He loved to drive. He would drive anywhere, everywhere, you name it, you know.
We didn't have a car, so he took us to visit my grandmother and family, and you know, we just became a family.
Often, the onset of dementia is gradual, the signs only fully recognized after the diagnosis.
Bill made some decisions that I found it difficult to go with. Just this little something that we just couldn't put a name to. It was just so hard to accept, and because there were times when he was okay.
Bill was diagnosed with primary progressive aphasia, or PPA, a neurological language disorder caused by frontotemporal dementia. PPA can affect our ability to speak and name objects, understand spoken or written words, and understand word meanings.
Dad would be really frustrated because he couldn't remember words, and he would say, "Oh, I should know that." His journey through dementia, you know, he accepted it, and he was always still grateful for everything in his life, even when things were getting hard. The first thing that all of us were really concerned about is when the time came that he wouldn't be able to drive, because that changed so much.
We were sitting at a stoplight, and it was raining, and all the cars coming down came down, and then 3 more cars were coming, and I thought, oh God, please don't let him, you know, pull in front of those cars. And we sat there, and then they went by, and he pulled around the curve, and he said, "Boy, that was funny." And I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "I didn't see those cars coming." Thank you, God. But I said, "Well, okay." And we drove home. It was like a block away, and we stopped in the driveway, and I said, "Bill, you're not going to be able to drive anymore." And he said, "I know." And this was all coming just before we met you.
When Margie and Beth enrolled in Dementia 360, Bill was really struggling to communicate. One of the first things we helped them with was the creation of a digital picture book with common places and family members' pictures Margie and Beth could point to when communicating with Bill, acting as a visual cue and enabling them to better understand each other with less frustration. Another important element was safety. Margie didn't realize Bill was frequently opening the front door to the outside, which is a warning sign of imminent wandering.
It was a realization that this was too much, that this is not something that Mom and I would be able to handle.
We just felt like the threads were coming apart, and in fact they were. You know, just all these little things, they were all little things that just piled up to be great big things.
You'd given us a packet when Dad when we first joined Dementia 360, and that packet had a lot of really great information in it, and it was geared specifically to our situation. We were able to give us wonderful suggestions like the door alarms and the door locks and you know, the cabinet locks.
Make sure you have these. Make sure you know what to do with your door. If you have somebody make sure that you know what they're going to do. Are they going to wander? Are they going to try to get out of the house? But you had loads and loads of ideas, and we started adopting those, some of them. The ones I didn't adopt, I was sorry for.
Helping Mom to know that things needed to be put away and what was coming. I think the information that you were able to give us about what was coming before we got there.
It became very personal, and everything you did was personal. When you came to our home, it was a very personal thing. You know, your care, your understanding, you know, your encouragement, everything, you know.
Dementia 360, we're always accessible, that we could call if we had something going on, and we could ask, and you could give us some information or some guidance.
At Dementia 360, we were privileged to be part of this journey with the Morse family and to support Margie and Beth as they cared for Bill, allowing them to have more time with him at home and to still have many good days and joyful times as a family. If you'd like more information about support for family caregivers of people living with dementia, call 412-435-8950.